Hello. Hi.
Hi,
Hi. Great to connect with you.
how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. And you?
Good, good, thank you. Good. I'm delighted that you accepted my invitation. I think that would be lovely, lovely to
Thank,
talk to you. I
thank
just
you.
I just turned it on and I didn't say anything about you yet. So I'll let you talk about yourself as you please. Introduce yourself and then we just go talking and people can join us during asking questions and everything, and then we try to answer as many as we can. Okay,
Okay.
so shall we just do that play by ear and see how it goes?
Yeah, absolutely. My name's Harriet Goudard, and I'm currently in Pembrokeshire in Wales, and we've just moved here from Surrey. So you'll have to bear with me if the internet's a little bit patchy, but that's what we've got. So it's all within the divine plan, within divine planning.
Yeah.
Um, So I'm a shamanic practitioner and I work with people to really help them identify who they are at a soul level. And I know that you resonate with that because you
Yeah.
facilitate constellations and do the work of the soul as well. And so I look at really helping people to unlock all of their blind spots at all of the levels. So that's the heart, their connections, of course, with Mother Earth, Mother Gaia, and all the way down to the central core of the Earth, and then of course all the way back up into the cosmos as well. So the journey work that we do, the healing, happens on many dimensional levels, many layers, and of course that doesn't all happen in a linear fashion. That happens all at once. So it is a very holistic way of working,
It
and
is
of course,
beautiful. I looked at information that I have had therapy with Harriet and was amazing. Um, and then I want, oh, how do you say that? Kundalini? Kundalini? Is it
yeah.
Kundalini? I can never say that word properly.
So that's the
Yeah.
Kundalini awakening, Kundalini activation. Yeah.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Then you can talk about that too if you like, but that was impressive. That was a beautiful work.
Yeah, good. Well, it's always a pleasure to work with people who are really sensitive to energy, sensitive to the work, and who are able to connect into their bodies on all of these multidimensional layers because it just adds this real richness to my work, and it adds that quality of archetypal energy, of the Kundalini, of the earth energies, and you can see somebody so deeply on multi layers. And really, I'm blessed because the people that come to me are already so willing to do the work, that they really feel into, they're really open to feeling into those layers. So it's really brilliant. I feel really blessed with that.
I guess that's really important, isn't it? Because I can't see how it would work if someone really didn't believe or wasn't willing to go through the process. I don't, would that work anyway? Do you think?
It does work anyway. So yeah, so what I find is that when you're holding quite a high vibration, in your work, in your life, of course, work and life aren't separate spheres anymore. They're all, again, overlaying spheres of your aspects of your soul. Um, what you find is that just by being in the presence of somebody who is perhaps working with some darker aspects or working to catalyze their next shift, that's when they often come to me. Just in that connection, in holding that space, can be really, really beneficial for them. So yeah, I mean, it's a luxury for me when people really see it and they journey with me and they can really
Yeah.
feel into it. But it's not a necessity by any means. It's a luxury.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right then. So tell us how you find, I mean, how did you find shamanism in your way, in your journey? How was
Um,
it? When did you realize, okay, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, so really, when I was a child, I am an only child, and I spent a lot of time. We grew up in the south of England, in the countryside, so very connected with the Celtic energies, the magic energies and ancient energies of the British Isles, and in that. I was very close to animals, close to horses, close to birds, and close to the wildlife and the trees. And so really from a young age, I was actually reflecting on this yesterday. That we often go back to times in childhood and think about what it was that really we spent a lot of time doing. And somebody asked me that. I was like, well, I just kind of talked to bugs and stuff in the fields and animals and just tinkered with stuff, the outside, and feeling into and when I just tuned back into that energy, it just feels very very alive, very vibrant, very connected. And so to answer your question, I guess it was almost like the work that I've done over the years. And I did a lot of my own shadow work and, bringing the light into a lot of dark places through a lot of various experiences. But when I first had our first eldest son, that's when really I started having the opportunity to reconnect with myself, to reconnect with the plants on the balcony, to really start to hear, to become really clairaudient again. And then finally shamanism. And I trained with a lady in Colorado. And when I found shamanism, it was almost like giving a name to what I had already done. So it was an interesting pathway that actually then helped me identify who I am rather than having to learn something completely new. So I would say that it's something that's been with me for many lifetimes. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like going back to your childhood and actually understanding what was going on at that time, when I think you probably had no idea what was going on, what it was to talk to the plants, to the animals, isn't it? Or how did you feel about that? Could you talk about that to people? What they would think they were a little bit crazy, or how was that for you? Because in my experience, people started to think that I was a witch when I was a child. And I had friends that went away from me because of it. So that was actually heartbroken at that time. So I don't know how it was for you as being a child and, seeing all these things and have this connection with nature and everything.
So when I was really small, and I was standing in my cot and talking to people, my mum has always been quite good at dampening it down and sort of saying, oh, don't be silly, then there's nothing there. It's kind of like, and then later on, when I was talking to animals and plants, it was just, and it still is really a flow. So it doesn't really matter whether people follow that story or not. I went back to a time in my childhood when I was at school, and like you, perhaps I started working with tarot cards and working with telekinesis and the Ouija board and stuff like that. And at that time, I think some of my friends decided to back away a bit. Definitely, some of them didn't, and some of them are still around, and they followed the whole path with me. Their own paths, but definitely that was one of the layers of whether people continue to resonate with you along the way, really.
Yeah. So what are you doing now at the moment? I know you do a lot of things, but I'll let you then tell everyone here all the little bits that you do, which is quite a lot.
But
I don't want. I would like you to mention about your work with the horses, because
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know, and that's how we first really connected, was with the spirit of and horses shaman, and just touching on that. I mean, that's such an amazing part of my journey, really. When I first bought my horse, because I competed in dressage when I was late teens and quite a high level. And when I bought him later on, having had our first child, my intention was, I'll get back into riding and, I'll get back into competing and stuff. And actually, it's so far from that now. And he has taught me so much, and actually got to the extent of being like a divinatory. So I work with him on choosing herbs and working with plant spirit medicines. They've helped me process a lot of my own stuff as well. So I really understand how the horses can hold space both for, for us, in
Yeah.
certain things. They can help me do readings, and certainly they can facilitate constellations, environmental constellations that I know that you're familiar with as well.
Yeah.
Uh, so there's that aspect of it, which is the environmental aspect of the constellations, where we talk about animals and plants in this sort of totemic language, where everybody, everything, every resonance has a deeper layer, has a deeper meaning. So, of course, we can tune into them in the shamanic journeying, and that's a realm through the journey work, through the dream work. But we can also then see how that's reflected in our everyday 3D life. So as soon as we become sensitive to it in the journey work, we're then more sensitive to it in the daily life, and sensitive to the beautiful manifestations of the same energy, really. So that's a big part of my work, is working with the animal spirit medicine, plant spirit medicine, particularly hawthorn, which is a beautiful tree in the British Isles, very much one that works on your heart and your higher heart, and yew tree as
So
well.
that when you use that plant, what do? You connect it with the heart through the chakra or not?
Yeah, so when I work with a plant spirit medicine, I journey to meet the spirit, and the spirit will show up for me as a particular, perhaps in archetypal form, or just in a certain type of resonance, or when I'm first tuning into a different type of medicine. Generally, it will show up for me as a vibration in my body, so I'll feel it within my body, within my field of my body.
Okay.
Yeah. And she definitely works on the heart, hawthorn. So that's a very good one for heart healing and heart opening, actually. Yeah. And yew tree is incredible and very multidimensional. So that is a very deep work with a huge amount of potential, which is absolutely fascinating. So that goes all the way down to the layers of inside the earth energies, and then all the way up to the galactics, the cosmos and beyond. And when we talk about that, really, we can talk about the Akashic field as well, which some people might have heard of, which is the energetic imprints, the records, they're energetic imprints of everything that exists. So it allows us to read into those and to feel into those and to really journey deeper into those. So that really is the main aspect, and then I like to bring that through for people in terms of their business. So really working with people, because as we mentioned earlier, the different spheres of life, yes, they're different, but they overlap, and work is of course one key part of that. So it's how to help people show up more powerfully in their work, so that they can have a bigger impact.
And that's, we're talking about energetically, is that right?
What's that?
Energetically, you help people energetically, or beyond that as well?
So I am showing people how to vision, essentially. So it's showing people how to expand their potential, how to feel and connect into abundance, how to step forward in a more empowered way. So how to be more powerful, how to show up more powerfully, and how to really own their medicine as well. Because I think this year particularly, we've got a lot of people who are waking up to the realization that actually perhaps the corporate job that they've had doesn't resonate with them anymore, and they're being called really to do something within the healing profession. So it's lots of people like that who are coming to me at the moment, and I feel, very blessed to work within that space.
Okay. And how does that work? How is that work? One-to-one, and with me, we did through meditation. That was beautiful. If you want to talk a little bit about that, because that particular one, the last one we had, that was really, really powerful and beautiful.
So in terms of when people show up for the work, for their business, when they're looking at their impact, their power, their way of serving, you know, their soul's purpose, all of those kind of buzzwords that people really want to feel into right now when they think, you know, what is life about and how can I really, you know, grab this? It's really about it's about journeying back into who they are. So it looks like at the moment I've got a 12-month container that I'm just launching, which is about supporting people through this massive transformation. It's a bit like a classic vision quest. So traditionally, when people would have left behind their old versions of their self, whether that is through puberty or through later in life, and really going through that whole rebirth process and then being reborn into something new, into new potential and expanding their potential as well. So it's a lot about setting intention. And as you know, intention is everything. And it also, that of course has its own massive energetic signature. So energy, and then connecting with the coordinates of our energetic selves in those dimensions that really resonate with us. I think that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, lovely. And I'm just going to let people know that they can start asking questions if they already have any questions. And I know that you're also doing an event on the 21st, aren't you? I'll put it down.
Yeah.
On the what is it that you're doing on the 21st?
Yeah, so in London, in South London, on the 21st of December, we're doing a winter solstice shamanic medicine ceremony.
So how is that going to be? Is it how many days? Because I read very briefly that you put it, so I couldn't really remember what it was.
Yeah, so that's just well, it's a six hour sort of half-day retreat, and that's South London, and that is that's really a really supportive space to work with the solstice portal to leave behind everything that's happened this year, but then still, and then really still prepare for what's to come, because I think that yes, this has been a preparation really for what's to come, and it's more about aligning. You know, Jupiter and Saturn are in conjunction, you know, first time in 900 years or something at the date of the winter solstice. So I think it's going to be a massive opportunity or springboard to spring into the next bit, really.
Okay. We have a question here. You said earlier that we live in a 3D world. Could you expand on what you meant by that?
Yeah, of course. So the third dimension is, of course, the material world, the world of matter, in which we see everything, we feel everything. And that is very much a sort of a projection of the lower three chakras that we hold in our body. And that's what it really corresponds to. That is obviously coming into being. And the way I like to look at it, the way it's been shown to me, is that when you extend or expand all the way up into source consciousness, so you really feel the clarity of your own connection to source, so your own connection to God, or whatever you use, whatever you relate to in your culture for source or God. When we commune directly with that energy, what we understand is that everything that comes down from that energy, everything after that energy, is a condensation of that very high frequency. And what I mean a condensation, if we imagine a gas turning into a liquid, turning into a solid, that is essentially what we're talking about when we talk about the 3D. We're talking about all of that condensation coming down to a solid matter, and that being this framework of beauty and reality in inverted commas, and definitely in one aspect in which we, you know, reside, we play, we work, we serve. The 3D, the life's work, that's where we manifest our life's work.
I think you answered it very well. God, this work is so beautiful. Yeah, it's wonderful. And you also work with all the chakras as well, don't you? You mentioned now that you do the 3 chakras. Which one are those?
Yeah, so typically when we're talking about working with our imprints or our shadow aspects, yeah, you're welcome. We're talking about the root, which connects us obviously down to the central core of Mother Earth. We're talking about the sacral, which is just below the navel. That is the waters of the emotions. So we can go through every single platonic solid, or every single element actually, as we go up. So we've got the root, which is earth. We've got the sacral, which is water, and the waters of the emotion. And then we come up to the solar plexus, which is just below the diaphragm, plugs into the pit of the gut. And that works with the fire aspect, so solar plexus. And that really connects us into, that is the first chakra after we condense all the way down from God, in which we become an individual. We become individuals, we become ego, we become, in a good way, because it's helped us, it helps us survive, it identifies us as individuals. I'm not, some people say that, it's about, surmounting the ego, but actually for me, it's more about working with who we are and seeing who we are from a higher perspective, or a more objective position, so that we can then work with ourselves, essentially. Actually, that's essentially what we're doing. So they're the three lower chakras, and that is often where we find a lot of the shadows, the work to be done, the more dense aspects that show up within those three fields. And of course, those three fields, those three portals, those three chakras are connected to our auric fields, the different layers of the auric fields as well that surround us all the time. So any blockages tend to show up within that as well. And then above that, of course, we've got the heart, and that is our first main connection to the causal body and the causal reality. So the unified field, that's where we're talking about the soul. And then beyond that, of course, the throat is where we're connecting into the Akashic realm, the Buddhic field, and we're starting to get higher and higher. And then the pineal, of course, in the middle of the head, and up beyond through the crown to the soul star. So it's working with all of those aspects. And often we talk about it being a case of starting with the lower three and then going further up. But actually, of course, with any of this work, it's not linear. It doesn't happen. It never really happens how we want it to happen. It's sort of, you start with your objective, you start with your intention, and then you've got to go with what shows up. And often that is the most beautiful thing anyway, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so somebody's asking, now I need my glasses. Oh my God, the age. For you, how the horses cleaning their energy? They heal themselves. I think she's asking if they heal themselves, how they clean their energy.
Yeah, so that's a great question, because when we work with horses, particularly in a therapeutic role, we need to be very very cautious and very understanding of the fact that they need to decompress, and they need to clean themselves energetically, and they need to really reconnect and recharge. So I know that therapeutic horses, particularly riding for the disabled and things like that, they can burn out in 3 years, space of short as 3 years if they don't have the right.
Wow.
Because they give so much, and so it's it's really important that they get that space to be horses, to be wild, to be free, to have a voice, to roll in the mud, to anchor their feet, to not have to wear shoes, so that they can fully ground themselves as well. So I see all of that. They live out in the elements. My horses, they don't wear rugs, they're never shod. They are free to be horses, and I will say to him, if you want to work today, then that's great. If you don't, then say. It's very clear when they don't want to. It's very
That's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, and very clear when they don't want to be ridden. I mean, it's a different sort of work, isn't it? It's a different sort of connection, and we can only give
what we have, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
And they are the same, and it's amazing how they know all that stuff, isn't it? I can't do it, and I can't do it, and that's how humble that is. They are humble, aren't they?
Yeah, they're incredibly humbling as well. I mean, look at what we've put them through, and they're still there, still partners, they're still, you know,
Exactly.
prepared to help. Yeah.
And well, do you work with dogs as well, or it's just the horses? I think it,
Yeah.
well, I mean, I always have Lola around when my clients, when they don't mind, I have her, and she has already served some, beautiful, beautiful stuff happened. So I don't know if your dogs are around you as well, and they come along, or how do you do?
Yeah. Yeah, so my dog always comes to the circles, and my daughter's just come in, and the cat,
Okay.
actually. That's interesting. So yeah, my dog always comes to circles, and I wouldn't say she holds space, but she definitely um, she looks out for me. She is part of it, but she's a passive part of it. So yes, I mean, I do invite her in the environmental constellations to work with us, but it's certainly in the more of the journey space when I'm working with clients, it's more of a supportive aspect. She's very much on guard. She holds the space. She holds the
Yeah.
perimeter. Um, you know, is a proper dog,
Yeah.
really. Yeah,
I
yeah,
love it.
yeah, yeah.
That's great. Okay, and what else can you tell us?
So yeah, that is something that I'm working on at the moment that's been coming through really strongly for me, is to put together a container that is about animal spirit medicine. So it's
Okay.
how to work with animal spirits more deeply. And I've been sort of playing around with the framework for a while, and it's been coming through more strongly lately. And in fact, over the last couple of days, I was tuning into what the course would look like. And and it's interesting because actually what came through is that the animals actually want me to channel them in the sessions. So I I don't know how that's going to look yet, but it could be, yeah, it could be really interesting. So there's that aspect of it, and I'm really excited about it. And I've pulled some cards actually for the first 6 months. So for the first six animals, and the first
Okay.
six animal spirits, um, and it's a really interesting journey. So there's that aspect of it, which is kind of like the details. But then another thing which has dropped in, which is about just this constant flow of when people come in. So when clients drop in, it's always divine timing. It always supports them in the way that they need to be supported in that time. And I'm very much noticing that dance, particularly being in Wales, being surrounded by water. There seems to be this flow coming in with everything, where the clients seem to come at exactly the right time. So with regards to that course or the other course that I'm running, it's interesting how people drop in to hear the exact medicine that they need at the time. So that's very much how I work as well, is within the premise of you'll get the right medicine regardless of how that sort of, regardless of what you think that needs to look like.
Yeah.
It's trusting that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it comes back at another time. How are we doing for time? Because
Oh, it's 8 o'clock.
okay.
And I'm fine. It's up to you. So
No,
my
no, no,
kids
we
are.
can carry on because I think we go until they give us an hour, don't they? And then they stop. Yeah, don't they? Yeah. And how is your new workspace?
Yeah, so the workspace is amazing. It's an off-grid hut, and it's been designed around the golden ratio proportions. So it's actually the triple goddess, or the Triskele. So the three spirals all joined together. So that's the design. That's like the floor print, the footprint of it, and
Okay.
the physical manifestation has been built in the with the measurements of something called a megalithic yard. And a
Mm.
megalithic yard is
I don't know what that is.
yeah, it's what the scale that they use to design stone circles and things like that. So
Okay.
it's very ancient. It's really quite geeky actually, but actually it's really
Oops.
cool. And the Let me know if you're watching.
And now you
Still
came
there.
back. So you disappeared when you were explaining about the thing that I don't know what it is.
Yeah, yeah. So this is another thing with me is technology.
It's because you're
The,
far away, aren't you?
I'm in Pembrokeshire, but the connection's good. But there's something about me and technology. Always there's always something that I fry it. Essentially, I don't know why, but I
Don't
always end
worry
up
about
frying
it.
technology.
Don't worry.
Um, so the measurements are around this megalithic yard, which is what they use to build the stone circles and Stonehenge and things like that. So when you're in the space, there's almost like this vortex in each of the spirals that feels very different. So there's one that is essentially upper worlds. There's one that is down, sort of lower world. And then there's one that feels very sort of middle world, feels very, you know, surface level, sort of very, I've got my kitchen in there. It feels very practical. But the energy when you're in the middle, and that's where I tend to meditate, is really, really strong. So it's an interesting juxtaposition, being very sort of technical, very almost technological, almost it's sort of almost a form of technology, but being stuck in the middle of a field next to a stream, off grid, completely out of the way of everyone. So that's
That
a
must
really
be
interesting.
wonderful. But that was built with an intention, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah.
that makes a massive difference.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's the intention of the land and the space that we're in. We've been really lucky to find this space. And then, of course, from here, what we're going to do is to find some land near us and to plant trees. That has really been the call that's been coming through to me lately, is to plant something
Can
like
I come
300,000.
and help?
Yeah, I'd love that. Yeah,
I
I'd
would
love
love
that.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So something like 300,000 trees is what I was hearing when I tuned in the other day. So that's quite a big deal.
300,000. Oh, well. Yeah, you need help. I'll come along.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, yeah.
Great.
So to set up a retreat center where people can really really visit and come and tune into the space, tune into the elements, reconnect with the energies here. And I don't know if you know a lot about Wales, but there's a lot of this dragon energy here. There's
Yeah,
of course,
I know a little
yeah.
about it, not much.
So the dragon energy in Wales is really it really talks about the energies of the waters and the springs. And when we look into the Chinese acupuncture medicine, we talk about the ley lines across the earth. And of course, the ley lines across the earth are the yang. So that is the ley lines that run through Stonehenge, for example, is the yang. And then what we've got is this upflow of energy coming up from underneath the earth. So coming up from, and the way I've seen this or been shown this is from inner earth. And we can actually journey this by going and working through with Yew Tree, who I mentioned earlier is one of my plant or tree spirit allies. And that energy, that dragon energy, comes up, and that is the yin. And particularly in Wales, where we've got lots of volcanic plugs, because that was what the ancient landscape was. This water is pushed up underneath and through these volcanic plugs, and that brings that dragon energy, that yin, to the surface, and that is a real catalyst for change, for shift, you know, for realism, for feeling into who we really are, and it really helps to strip off many, many layers. And so just on that, of course, wherever we find these stone circles or these stone plinths or just pillars, single stones, we can often relate to those as ancient acupuncture for the land, because it actually helps to balance those two energies, the yin and the yang, of course, on both sides of as
Amazing.
below. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, then if I didn't see any more questions here, I don't know if I missed any. Let's see if there is any question here. No. If you guys want to ask some questions, and then are you up for a little meditation soon, Harriet? Yeah.
Yeah. So
you can hear me, yes?
yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, we could go for the meditation if you like, but unless
Mm.
you want to say something else that we missed.
Yeah, so definitely if there aren't any other questions, then we can drop straight into a meditation. And the meditation that I thought that I would bring through for this session is really one to help harmonize, again, the yin and the yang, the up and the down, the above and the
Yeah,
below, just so that we can
lovely.
come really back into the heart space.
Yeah, that would be lovely. And then if there is any message, any question here, you can answer afterwards, and then we see.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I would like
Mhm.
to do this, if you don't mind, before they cut us off, because
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
they're
Yeah.
annoying, but they do.
Yeah. Okay, so as we drop into this meditation, of course, just closing down the eyes, if it's safe for you to do so. So if you're in a space that obviously you can do that and you can fully relax. Otherwise, I just suggest that you tune back into this at a later point. And of course, you can do this multiple times and it will help deepen and anchor, okay, is the word that I'm hearing, anchoring you into different layers of yourself and deeper layers of yourself, the more that you do this. So whether you want this practice to be one that you follow yourself or one that you listen to again, it has the capability of anchoring you down much deeper. Actually, as we tune into that, what I'm seeing is that tunnel, actually, that tunnel into almost into the cave, into the insides, into the inner landscape. And as we go into the inner landscape, we go, inside, we learn more about ourselves so that we can spring back out again after these monumental portals that are coming up of the solar eclipse on Monday, the winter solstice on the 21st, and of course, the end of the year going into 2021. So taking a nice deep breath, and when we're breathing, just breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, and elongating the exhale as much as possible. And as we do that, we activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the simplest way to ask the heart to start to correlate with the brain, start to really rule the brain, or to, at least for the next 10 minutes, to have a say over what's going on in the mind. So we're really tuning into Venus, right, with the heart, over the Mars of the head. So if you imagine you're bringing your weight all the way down into your seat bones, wherever you are, just connecting with your seat bones on both sides, and imagining that they represent both sides of a plug, and you're plugging into the seat or the sofa or the chair that you're sitting in, and plugging those seat bones all the way into the chair on both sides. You start to become aware of your root system, which exists and always has existed underneath you, extending out from underneath you. And there's a shift just then that happened. For those of you who are tuned in, I could feel that mighty expansion just happened there. And just breathing through, remembering to breathe into this expansion as you tune into your root system and become aware that that root system has always existed, that root system between the base of your spine, essentially, the tailbone, your coccyx, and the central core of Mother Earth. And you envisage your root system boring its way down all the way through the chair and the house and the foundations of the house or the building that you're in, all the way through the layers of the earth, the foundations of the house, the sand, the silt, the rock, the black rock, the slate, and all the way down through the layers of earth and crystal, all the way down to the central core of Mother Earth, that beautiful ferrous core of Mother Earth, inviting you to wrap your roots all the way around that ferrous core of Mother Earth, and drawing her in, wrapping your roots around and hugging her in, maybe saying a word, offering gratitude. Maybe it's one of the first times you actually felt into her presence, into her vibration. And as soon as you really connect with her and her heart, you might notice that your own heart starts to open in reciprocation, starts to unfold in the way that you're reaching down with your roots, or the way to that central core, and around the central core, feeling maybe the pulsations of her heart, which of course, as soon as you really tune into that and allow and give yourself the space for this work to happen, you yourself start to harmonize with her frequency. Literally, that's what you're doing. You are bringing through the earth frequencies in yourself, in your frequency as a healer, as a shaman. You are activating your inner shaman by doing this work, by bringing through these earth energies, just in this connection with her now. And on the in-breath, drawing in the energies that she offers you up your root system and observing their colors. And they look very multicolored today, beautiful rainbow colors coming up the root system and coming into the base of your spine, into both of your seat bones. And just starting to heat the base of your spine. You're becoming aware of the base of your spine becoming heated and hot and warm, maybe tingly. And becoming instantly aware of how it feels for the energy to be rising up your spine at that same time. And of course, the root system also connects into the base of both of your feet. And the base of both of your feet have connections to your root as well. So becoming aware of your left foot and under the arch of your left foot, and observing the energy as it shoots under the arch of the left foot and up the inside of the left leg, the left shin, the left calf, all the way up to the left knee. All of the toes and the left foot coming online, and becoming aware of the whole of the left foot and the left ankle, of the left heel, all the way up the left shin, the left calf, the left knee, into the left thigh. And as you tune into your body and the body parts, as you follow my words, as I move you around your own body, you're becoming very aware of the depths of your being. So following the energy as it rises up, but also through the different layers. So right down to the layers of the bone, the flesh, the tissue, and all the way to the skin at the top. And then the energetic space that exists all around your leg, all around your body as well. And coming into the base of your right foot, the energy, and heating the right foot, heating the arch of the right foot and the right knee, the right heel, and that energy shooting up the inside of the right leg, all the way up to the inside of the right thigh, and round the outside of the right buttock, and suddenly becoming very aware of both legs at once, and the space around both of those legs. Beautifully holding that space, grounding you down, supporting you, offering your gratitude to essentially those legs that guide you through life, that walk you forward on your path, that have taken you so far on this path, that keep you stable, that keep you upright, and feeling them in their entirety, how fired up and energetic they feel right now. And observing again on the in-breath, drawing that energy in and up to the base of the spine. And feeling the buttocks heat, the whole of the pelvis warm, and all of the lower belly start to fire up into the sacral. And perhaps if you've got the sight, looking down with your internal eye to see your sacral flower blossoming, opening your chakra at the level of your, just underneath your navel. And that flow of the energy in the lower belly starting to warm the lower belly. Moving through the waters of the emotion. You can really feel into that element of water that exists in the lower belly. And gently observing, allowing that energy to start to mount to the layer of the belly button. All the way up to the upper belly, which is the solar plexus. All the way up both sides of the body, around the back of the body. All up through the core, just allowing this energy to move up through your digestive system, up into your stomach and your liver and your spleen, becoming aware of these organs and the depths of these organs that perhaps you've never even connected with one by one before, each with their own vibration, each with their unique function, form, quality, intelligence. Because they all operate without really us having to do anything about it. Beautiful energies existing within, feeling that heat building all the way up to the diaphragm now. So all of the belly feeling hot. And tuning into the solar plexus, you might again look down with your internal vision and see how the the chakra, the beautiful blossom of the chakra, the solar plexus, is now starting to open and turn. And healing that whole body, maybe looking at those bottom 3 chakras, the solar plexus, the sacral, and the root, all connected with a light or a daisy chain all the way down, solidifying that beautiful, solid, grounding foundation of who you are as it comes up and starts to mount into the heart space. And that is being shown to me almost like a spiral or a whirlpool or a vortex going up into that heart space and starting to reach out and really hold space for that top upper body and the higher centers, the more spiritual centers, those centers related to our spiritual development. And there's a real sense of potential in there. Tuning into that for the people who are on this call, definitely, and whether you're watching this live or in the replay, this is definitely pertinent for you, and this open invitation to basically blossom. And we're seeing that as if you were looking down from yourself from above, so from the position of source or God from above, looking down and just seeing this array of these people who are blooming almost like flowers in a meadow, lifting their faces up to the sun and just opening their petals up to look at you, the sun. And that is just the realization that you are God yourself, and there is God within you already. And I don't know if that brings the full body tingles for anyone else, but it does for me. Just the realization that you are so held in this form, in this life, in this opportunity, this moment, and these moments that always have been and always will be, that you've lived so many times over, and you step forward with such grace, such confidence, such honesty, such flow, such connection. And now just really feeling into your heart and feeling into the string, almost the thread that holds you up from your heart, that goes directly up your spine, the layer of your spine, the center of your body, up through the throat, up through the head, and out through the top of the head, through the crown, and all the way up to your soul star. That beautiful white thread, that beautiful almost platinum white thread that shines, and it sings, you know, it's got its own harmonic, it's got its own resonance that you can hear. We're all sound, and it all holds you up in that beautiful formation, everything else condensing to it all the way down between you, holding this from the tension of this, essentially from the soul star above your head, all the way down through your being, all the way down through the roots to the central core of Mother Earth. Feeling into that expansion, that, you know, more than when we feel so confined by our daily lives, our pressures, our stresses, just tuning into that expansion of who we really are at so many levels can be so liberating, so empowering, so beautiful. And taking a couple more deep breaths just into that awareness, into that knowing that's already well within you, before slowly just bring your attention back to your heart space and just the area beneath your breastbone, and just allowing your attention gently to sit there without grasping, without wanting, without desire necessarily, without needing to push, just to be. And allow yourself to stay like that for as long as you want. My invitation would be for the weekend at least, before you slowly open your eyes and come back into the present.
Oh, can I just stay like this? Oh, thank you so much. That was beautiful.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Oh, thank you. I'm sure everybody loved it.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's always so interesting what wants to come through when it's, you know, when it's a channeled meditation, particularly for obviously the beautiful people who are here, who you've gathered together for this. So I'm really grateful for that. Thank you.
No, thank you. I'm so grateful.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah.
So people, that's what I'm talking about. This woman is incredible. I really, really, really appreciate that you came along and you are here with us doing this beautiful meditation, bringing all your knowledge and sharing with us. So thank you so much. And
Yeah.
yeah, so grateful.
Yeah, you're welcome. And it's a pleasure as always to connect with you, Vivi. And I look forward really to continuing our journey together.
Yeah, we
Over.
will. I will. And I'm sure some people from today will join us too, join you with your work, 21st, here in London, right?
Yeah, in London, yeah.
So I'm going to put on my stories your IG address and people can contact you, can go in and see on your page all the information that's there. And, if you need, go for this woman. She's incredible.
Thank you.
You really
Thank
are.
you.
You really are. And I really appreciate you took it all this time, from your family and everything to be here with us. So I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you. And on just on the end of that meditation, just really the invitation is just to hold that heart resonance. And
For as
we've
long
got
as you
such work
can.
such work to do, and it's a beautiful time, and that gratitude and awe is a good place to be.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. If anyone has any questions, otherwise we're probably going to be closing. Don't know the time. Let me see. We're nearly
Mm,
finished. So if anyone
mm,
wants to share what you felt during the meditation, if anything came up for you, for me it was just a sense of gratitude, and I felt really, really peaceful, and I just want to hold all this energy with me for as long as I can, and
mm,
share with my family, share with people around me, because it's a really nice one. It's incredible, isn't it, how it works. Like you said, we are a group of 6 people here, and then what it was
mm,
done was actually what we all needed, and that is actually quite perfect, isn't
mm,
it?
yeah, yeah. It's always what we need. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, my lovely. So I think we can say our goodbyes, and unless you want to say anything else, but thank you so much for coming here tonight.
Yeah, thank you, and so much love, and love to everyone that joined live and in the replay.
Yeah. Thank
Bye,
you.
bye,
Bye.
much love.
Bye.
Bye, bye, guys.